Hello everybody, Z3KO Trinity here. It is time, finally, to do the Stephen King's book versus movie. I am talking about Stephen King's It, the best of the best, what Stephen King is mostly known for. And there is quite a bit of differences between the two movies and the book still. But which one was my favorite? I'm going to go ahead and start off and tell you guys what the differences are. Of course, nothing really, fully beats the books compared to like the movie adaptations, but sometimes movies do a lot better than the books. But here are a lot of the differences. We're going to take a look at the town itself, Derry. Now, in the book, it depicts Derry as this really disastrous town. Every so many years, something bad happens, and it costs a lot of lives, like the Easter egg hunt that killed so many children. And then the guy that comes to this one place and chops up a bunch of people, and just so many different things, different disasters happen in the town of Derry. And they exploit it a little bit more into this movie right here, showing the Easter egg hunt and talking a little bit about it. But in this adaptation, they only mention one or two right off the bat and kind of move on. But this one exploits it a lot more, I think. But yeah, the town itself is all a part of it. And everybody, the grown-ups in the town act, they turn their eyes away from what's going on to the kids. Just everyone in the town is a part of it. And they show it really well in both the films. Whereas, especially the bullying scene with Ben Hanscom, where Henry Bowers had gotten him, it showed a good bit of like the people staring at him and then just kind of driving by. And in this one, it has the balloon come up in the car, and then it exploits it a lot more into this one. But yeah, the town itself, the movies did a pretty good job like talking about the town and its history, but of course the book is naturally going to be a lot more info. Let's talk about the characters now. We're going to start with the kids first, aka the grown-ups part, and then we're going to move to the clown himself. We're going to start with the original kid, Bill. He is a stuttering kid who just lost his brother, Georgie. Both the movies, this one actually begins in the adult part where this random young girl gets basically killed by the Pennywise the clown, and that's when Mike Hanlon finds the picture of Georgie there, which is actually not in the book. But in this, it begins with Georgie's death scene, like it does almost in the book. The book actually begins with this gay guy being bullied and ridiculed by these two assholes, and he ends up falling down where the sewer part is, and that's where Pennywise meets him, and he basically chews him up and rips him apart. Well, the guys, they get blamed for it, and they are put in jail, and Stephen King in the book actually goes in further detail about their trial and all that kind of stuff, whereas they kind of left it out of both movies, but they kind of have an homage in this one where Patrick is in the sewer and that balloon floats to him and it turns around and says, "I heart Derry." That same balloon was a part of that gay guy's intro in the book. So it kind of shows like a hidden Easter egg in that. But it does not mention anything about it in the original movie series. Now, Bill, he still stutters through all three of them. I feel like he does it even more in that movie compared to the newest one. But his character pretty much stayed the same as a kid throughout the whole thing. They pretty much kept him the same. it goes into further detail with the original miniseries because it actually shows them as adults, and it bounces back and forth between the kids and the adults, whereas the new 2017 remake, it does not. But yeah, the books, it bounces back and forth between when they were younger and when they were older. We're going to move on to Benjamin Hanscom. Of course, it left out the real gory part of his story in the original, where it has Henry Bauer. There's so many names. If I forget a name, I'm sorry. I'm very easily to forget. I'm trying to process all this info to make a good video for you guys. But Henry Bowers, in the book, he cuts an H into his stomach, and then I think he also begins like the E. And that's when Ben escapes from him. In the movie, in the remake, it actually does that scene, but in the miniseries, it does not. Think of the miniseries here as like a watered down version of the story, like a more cleaner, less gory version. And but all in all, his character is pretty much the same as a kid. The only difference is that in the new movie, it has him studying the town because he's the new kid and he's studying the town's history of Derry. Whereas we all know Mike Hanlon from both book and the original is the one that is the new kid who is studying the town history. So I wonder how they're going to play that out in the second chapter of that movie. And of course, speaking between those two, he becomes skinny when he grows up, and he's like a successful architect or archaeologist, I mean. And like in the book, he's pretty straightforward, got his life all in control, even has a place in Nebraska where he flies his own jet there. Whereas the movie, it kind of shows him like a playboy kind of thing, stumbling out of the limo, breaking awards, drinking with, a supermodel or just some chick he had happened to pick up. Just that's a big difference between the adults one. But, yeah, ultimately, it's pretty much all the same for him. Eddie Kaspbrak, or Eddie Spaghetti, is pretty much, as a kid, he's pretty much the same throughout. The only big difference is that when he gets older, he marries a woman who looks almost like his mom and pretty much treats him like his mom did. Whereas the miniseries, he just stayed with his mom throughout his life. But he's still a limo driver when he grows up, and when he was younger, he's still, germophobic. Now, in the new movie, it kind of shows a good bit about his germ fears, but at the same time, he's really, really brave, and I think he was a little bit more braver than he was in the book. Now, there was a major scene that happened in the book where he was forced to take a shower in the gym class, and that's where he didn't first meet Pennywise, but that was a scene where he met Pennywise. And they show it in this movie, but they left it completely out in the remake. Now, in the book, he is approached by this homeless guy, and he offers to give him a blowjob. And neither movie show that. They do show the leopard in the new one, but they completely leave both the leopard and the blowjob hobo out of the two, out of that one. But yeah, Stephen King, I don't know what goes on in his mind, but he is royally fucked up. Like, I love the book so much. Like, it's not even, not even funny. But that's a big difference between his character in all three. Mike Hanlon, like I already pretty much explained him. It does have like a hidden Easter egg where they're at a dinner in the miniseries, where it shows all their fortune cookies opening up, and There's that little creature that comes out of Bill's, and then the red bird that comes out of Mike Hanlon's. In the book, it tormented them in multiple ways. Multiple ways. So it kind of showed homage in that movie, but it didn't mention the bird or anything like that in the new one. But it did go into the leopard and all of that. So I'm wondering if the second one is going to like do the same with the same scene, where all the fortune cookies break open and has like an homage to all of that. But like I said, he grows up to be a librarian and studies the town history, and he's the one that gets everyone back together. So I'm sure that's how they're going to play it out like that. Unless they completely switch Ben Hanscom's character with his, which would be retarded, and they have Ben stay behind while he goes on. But yeah, that would not make sense in the end. But really, another big difference is both his parents are alive and well in the book and the first movie. Whereas this one, his parents apparently had died in a fire, and he works for his grandpa at like a cow place where he shoots the cow in the head with this dart-like thing. So that's like a big difference between that movie compared to those two. I'm trying to think his name. It's the funny guy. Richie Tozier, that's it. Sorry, like I said, there's so many names, it's hard to keep them all in my mind. But Richie, I love how the two movies separated his whole hilarious side compared to the book. Like the book, he makes crack-up jokes, like racial jokes, and crack-up wise remarks and stuff like that. And also, he just does this really funny comebacks. Oh, shit. Sorry, guys. I'll be right back. I just found a tick. So it's going to go black for a little bit, but I'll be right back. Move, motherfucker. You thought you could sneak in and ruin my video, did you? Sorry again, guys. I'm really sorry about that. I was looking up because I had my jacket just kind of thrown there. And as I was doing the video, I just saw something moving. I was like, what the fuck? And then I noticed it was a tick. And where I have 3 cats, one annoying cat and 2 regular, normal, average cats, I just wanted to, get that shit out of here. But anyway, I love how the two movies separate his character. I wish I knew how to, like, edit to where I could just cut the whole black part out, but I don't, so I am truly sorry. But, yeah, I like how they split his whole personality, made him the whole, it doesn't smell like caca to me, into that one, whereas the other one, he's like, Richie's my, where he does, like, all his different voices and stuff like that, too. So I like his character a little better in this one than I can do that one. But they're both, like, if you fuse the two personalities into one, that's the book. And when in the original book, he's afraid of werewolf. He saw the werewolf in the movie theaters, and that's what he was really, really afraid of. And they exploit that in the miniseries, where the janitor guy he's going to look for, which is Beverly Marsh's dad, he goes there and tries to find him, and that's when he sees the clown, but it's a werewolf. Well, in this one, he's afraid of simply clowns, and it doesn't have nothing to do with werewolves, and I was highly disappointed that randomly in the movie, the Pennywise, when he jumps up, he says, "Beep, beep, Richie." Now, that's what they basically say through the whole thing as their way of saying, "Hey, Richie, shut the fuck up." But, and it also exploits it a lot in that movie as well. But they don't say it at all in that movie except for the clown. Now, if you don't know anything about this movie or the book, you just simply watch this movie, you're going to be like, okay, what's that all about? You know what I mean? So I don't like how they did that. I kind of wish that they would have thrown in a couple of, Beep Beep Richies at least. So that way you can understand, like, oh shit, the clown is the one doing it this time. But, yeah. And when he grows older, the only real big difference between that and the book is that in the book, he's a radio host where he does his skits. Whereas in there, he's like a stand-up comedian that has his own show. So that's really the only difference of his. Now, Beverly Marsh, she is a big difference in all three. In this one, she already knows pretty much everyone. They're all kind of friends, except for her and Ben, of course. And, just gets right into their friendship. This one, they're kind of getting to be friends for the very first time, and they're like all googly-eyed because she's a girl, and so on and so forth. Well, in the book, it's pretty much the same as that, but it's a little less googly-eyed, I would say. More along the lines of, they see her as one of them, like a loser like them, so they just kind of, add her to the group. But, I think she was already friends with Richie. I'm pretty sure she was already friends with Richie and Stan. But I'm not quite sure. It's been a while since I've actually read the book. 2007 is when I read the book. But, in this one, her father's more sexually advanced towards her. As if he was, like, ready to rape her at any moment. And it was like that in the book, but not to the extremity as the movie. And then in this movie, her dad was pretty much just an asshole. And in that movie, they left out every single bit of her sexuality kind of stuff. And in the book, she, like, sees Henry Bauer's penis for the first time, and, she's just kind of, every day she goes into the bathroom and checks her breasts to see if they get bigger. I mean, she's more sexually active in the book than compared to the other two. Especially when she goes into the sewer. Now, one major difference is, I like how in the book and in the original, she is like a dead shot. She's really good at shooting things. So they have her fight, basically, the clown and shoot him in the head with the silver thing. Now, in this movie, they completely leave that whole scenario out, and they basically just each take turns beating the shit out of the creature. Which is fine. I mean, I like how in that movie, the creature itself shape-shifted into, like, random moments that everyone was afraid of. And I think that was a little bit better than that movie. But in the sewer, after they defeat it for the first time, she decides, hey, let's all have sex together. And so one after the other, they each take turns having sex with Beverly. Now, this is supposed to be kind of like a metaphoric, the same way as they did when they came out and they each cut their hands and made that blood oath in the book and in the new movie. It's supposed to be like a symbol of their strength, a symbol that they are one with each other. So that's what that was supposed to mean. But it was very awkward reading it in the book, and I was very glad they left it completely out of the two movies. And finally, we come to Stan, which is the big, big difference in all three. Stan, I felt his character was very plain in this movie. He saw the creature as the mummy, because in the original book and that, Pennywise takes the form of, like, a werewolf, the mummy, and Frankenstein. Your classic monsters. Whereas they kind of upbeat it for the 2 new movies. But Stan, in the book, he was afraid of this painting that of a woman, a very thin and ugly looking woman with the flute. And they explore that fear really well in this movie. But the major part that they kind of left out is, in this, he sees the thing's deadlights, which is what, it is actually made of. And that is why when they call each other, to return to kill it again, that's one reason why he decides to end his life. He doesn't want nothing to do with it. But in this one, the only thing major that happens to him is that it sinks its teeth into his face. Now, I'm not saying that's, a bad difference. I'm saying that when I first watched the movie, I was trying to think of his character progression where he's going to kill himself. And I was thinking, is that traumatizing enough to make him want to say, guys, no, I'm not returning? But when I watched it the second time and saw how the kid reacted afterwards, saying everyone had left him, and who knows, maybe he did see the deadlights inside the mouth of the creature. And, of course, Beverly Marsh is the one that saw the actual deadlights in the first book, or movie, I mean. And I like how they showed the whole love scene where it had her and Ben, true love overpowers all, but it wasn't like that in the book. But anyway, another big difference of Stan, talking about these two now, is when he gets the news that it's back, he goes to the bathroom and slits his wrist and writes "it" on the wall, and that's it. In the book, he chops himself to pieces. He basically cuts his wrist, writes "it" on the wall, and then just keeps hacking and slashing away. So yeah, a lot more grotesque, but a simple slit the wrist was powerful enough. And I'm wondering what route they're going to use for the second part. Now, we're going to move on to the bullies. Henry Bauer is a huge, huge character in the Stephen King It universe. Personally, I was more terrified of Henry Bauer than I was It. Henry is a fucked up kid. There's nothing more to say about it. He's just fucked up. And it's because of his dad that he's fucked up. And I like how in the new movie it explored it to an extent. Now the book is way more detail about what his dad is like. But the movie does show his dad being a dick. Whereas this one, he just kind of says that one line, "My dad will tear my hide," and he acts afraid. That's pretty much it. But Henry Bauer's character in all three is just as equally messed up. He likes to bully kids to a very, very dangerous extent. One difference, like I said, is he has like some kind of gay moment with, I can't remember the guy's name now. I don't think it was Belch. I think it was another one. But in the book, he kind of has a gay moment with them, which they, of course, left out of the movies. And at one point, he actually did like Beverly Marsh, but they kind of left that out of the movies as well. Except, of course, this one he said that he had been with her, which apparently was not true. But, yeah, the big difference between the two movies is simply that he kills his dad in both the book and the new movie. And this one, like I said, there's no dad to begin with, so that's a big difference. And he just does a lot more stuff. Like, he bullies them in the alleyways. He's bullied them in multiple moments in the book compared to the two movies combined. Another big difference that they left out, there's a guy named Patrick who is an upcoming serial killer. Both books left that whole backstory alone of his. But when he was 5 years old, he had killed his own brother. I believe he smothered him, or I'm pretty sure he smothered him, but if I remember correctly. I think he either stabbed him or smothered him. So comment below and please let me know. But he kills his younger brother, and he actually takes animals and locks them up in a freezer, and he even poisoned a dog and watched the dog slowly die of the poisoning. So he is a serial killer in the making, just a really fucked up individual. And of course he died in the sewer just like in the movie. I think he was the one with the gay scene, but I'm completely, can't remember. Belch, he's pretty much the same. All he does is burp into people's faces. He actually died in the sewer in this one and in this one, but it doesn't say anything about what happened to him in this. So currently he's still alive. And we're going to back to Henry Bowers. And one of the big difference between this and this and this is that Henry Bowers sees the deadlights and is scared so bad that his hair turns pure white. And then he takes the blame for all the dead children in the sewer, which leads up to their adulthood. Now, in this movie, it shows him royally getting fucked up by Mike Hannon after he ramshacks him down the well, and he's all like, pam, 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 like a ping pong ball. And I'm not sure if he survived. I'm pretty sure he did, because he's a huge factor in the next upcoming movie. But who knows at this point. And then randomly does his hair turn white just simply falling down the well? Is that going to be a factor? Or are they going to just leave that whole white hair out of it? But we also have characters like, Beverly Marsh's dad, which, like I pretty much explained the big difference there. It doesn't really tell his job or anything in the new movie, just that he's, sexually towards his daughter more than the other movie. And then, of course, the main star himself, It. Now, in the book, it explains that It is basically a god being that existed before Earth, before time itself. And he can take the physical form of whatever he wants. And yes, he does turn to a spider-like creature in the book as well as the original movie. But it's a metaphor, and of course, Bill, for a moment, when he sees the deadlights, he actually sees a turtle inside the deadlights in the book. And that turtle is the universe turtle, the being that created existence itself, and basically God. He sees God as a turtle, and the turtle and the entity itself, which is like a spider basically, had been fighting, for centuries. Well, that's the big difference between all three. In this, it doesn't explain anything like that. It just shows him as a, spider at the end, and then boom, he's dead. In this, it kind of gives us a spider-like resemblance when they're fighting in the well at the very end. He does crawl on all four, and yeah, he is shape-shifting back and forth between what they're afraid of, but it does resemble like a spiderlish walk. So I wonder how that's going to turn out. But another big difference, like I said, is the date. You got to realize that the kids from this and that are back in the 50s. Whereas in this movie, yeah, it is back in the day, but the modern time is going to be 2018. So they wanted to update everything. That's why he doesn't take the form of Frankenstein and a werewolf. He takes the form of like different things. Beverly's dad. The Mike Hannon's burning parents. I mean, he just takes the form of different multiple things. But personally, out of the two movies and the book, I personally liked Pennywise a little better in the It movie, because I think the actor did a brilliant job bringing that character to life. I can't fully say I like it compared to the book, because, we're still waiting on the second part. But as of right now, I really love how Bill Skarsgård did that character. And just everything about the character in that movie was so good. He pretty much has the same lines throughout all three. It's just delivered a little different, like the time frame of the stuff are played out differently. But pretty much that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, and another big difference is after they rip the heart out of the creature, they pretty much eat it in the book. I think, if I remember correctly, they eat part of his heart in the book. But, yeah, that's pretty much the major differences between the three right now. And which one is my absolute favorite? Of course, it's going to be the book, but out of the two movies, I really loved the new one. But personally, if you take this movie, merge it with this movie, it's still missing those really nice details that the book is what it is. But yeah, Bill Skarsgård played a very good clown. The miniseries, I think, is weak because it's more comical than it is scary. And it shows a lot of scenes where, especially when they're older, it shows a bunch of scenes where they're just kind of hanging out, goofing off, and stuff like that. And, this is supposed to be some serious, major, thing going on. Which, of course, they goof off in the book as well, but still. I just felt like the movie was more watered down. There's not really that much blood and gore in it. This one did an excellent job on just everything of that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope it's what you expected it to be. There are better videos out there, and I will have to give the credit to a couple of videos. I can't remember the actual name of the people, but I will leave a link in the description below of their videos that I watched that kind of helped me with the info. Because like I said, I haven't read the book since 2007. And yeah, I desperately need to read it again. But I hope that the video helped you guys out. I hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry again for leaving to take care of that tick problem. But I hope you were patient, and I do apologize. But anyway, I'm Z3KO Trinity. I love Stephen King so much. He is a brilliant writer, and I just really need to get back into reading his works. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching the video. I'm Z3KO Trinity, and I guess I'll see you in the next video. What's that, Pennywise? What'd you get to say?